So I want to offer a couple things as far as like the astrology that we have coming up this week and how it relates to what we're talking about here. So there are a few transits that are going on that are notable. Starting with Monday, we have two things happening. Number one is we have Venus entering Taurus. So Venus is the ruler of Taurus. Venus is also the ruler of that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that just happened this last week. And so the ruler of that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is now joining the party in Taurus. And so how I see that happening and like unfolding for us, like really this whole next 30 days as Venus makes her journey across Taurus, is like getting even clearer on what are our values. Like we've been talking about, like what is that yummy, juicy carrot that's out in front, AKA what is important enough for you to brave the discomfort and move through your process? Like what is that valuable to you? And it could be a whole host of things. It could be a bunch of different things. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if, not only Venus entering Taurus on Monday is going to bring some new clarity around what do you already value, but also especially as Venus works through that third decan of Taurus, those last 10 degrees of Taurus, where the Uranus Jupiter conjunction happened, likely we're going to see some shifts as far as like I used to really value my comfort zone and my inner peace and like these things. And now I still value those things. I still really dig that stuff, but I can see where I'm valuing expansion or contribution or growth or whatever it is for you. I am valuing that just a hair more. And all it takes is a hair more of a higher value to pull you through whatever discomfort there is associated with growth and expansion. So Venus moving through Taurus these next 30 days, think that's going to be a really beautiful journey of getting to see what is it that you value, and living our values is how we create a life we love, right? We live our values on purpose. And to do that, we have to even know what they are. So I see some clarity coming around what is it that is your top value and how are you living that on a daily basis. The other thing that's happening on Monday, which goes along really in a very interesting way with this, is that Mars is making its exact conjunction to Neptune. At the very end of Pisces, Mars is only a couple more days in Pisces, and it'll pass over Neptune right before it enters Aries on Tuesday. And Mars conjunct Neptune. Let's talk about that in alignment with this whole like what are your values? What is it that you're doing? What's your top most important thing in your life? Mars represents our ego self. It represents our body, our physical energy. Neptune is the dissolver. Neptune dissolves everything back into the infinite, dissolves everything back into oneness. So there's like the words that come through over and over and over as I think about this conjunction are self-undoing. There is a dissolution of who you have been. And in that way, Laura has told me this a couple of times and it's sinking in that like when a caterpillar goes into the cocoon, number one, she said there's some research that shows the caterpillar is resistant to going into the cocoon, which I think we can all kind of relate to that. And that when it goes into the cocoon and it dissolves into the goo, that those are called imaginal cells. Imaginal, right? Isn't that yummy? Like in this context of self-undoing, the caterpillar has to turn to goo to turn into the butterfly. And what is that phase in between? It's an imaginal space. And so I think the first couple days of this week, while we do have Mars in the tail end of Pisces, we have Mars going over Neptune, there is an opportunity to like really tap into your higher self, that part of you that is still part of the infinite oneness, and imagine, who do you want to be? right? What do you want your life to be? What is that compelling vision that you can see of what's possible as you grow into that? So, especially the beginning of like Monday, when we have Venus going into Taurus and Mars going over Neptune, it's really about being with your values, being with your imagination. We're not trying to make too much happen. I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple of days actually are pretty low energy with Mars going over Neptune. Like that's kind of a zap to our physical energy. So just notice and don't push yourself too hard if the energy's not, gas isn't in the tank.